Hello and welcome to the Stock Planner channel. Today I'd like to talk about the new world order that's emerging that includes Russia and China, and the old world order that includes NATO, United States, Canada, and hopefully South America, and why some of these countries are aligning themselves with either one side or the other, and the fact that China just might surpass the United States by 2040. In many ways, it's already are outperforming. And I'll conclude by showing you two trades in energy and food, which is why I think energy and food is the reason why I think these countries are aligning with each other, and how we can make some money. It's important to do your own due diligence, learn from others on the internet, but never take advice. Develop your own strategy and win. I'm a swing trader trying to get the tops and bottoms of a market. I like swing trading because you don't have to be perfect. You don't even have to spell, but I think you have to do percentages. Maybe that'll be another video. Anyway, let's get started with the new world order and how we can make some money from it. Well, we're looking at the new world order, and we think it's changing. It used to be the U.S. was the leader as far as economic growth, GDP. Currently, the GDP for the United States is 70%. Canada's 20%. Russia, 14%. This is before the state is before the Ukraine issue. And what I did was this is a Google spreadsheet, and took the GDPs for the various different countries. And the ones with the highest change are greener. And we can see that Turkey, 57. China, 35. India, 35. US, 17. And Brazil. These are the economies that are growing the fastest. And some of the more or older economies are growing less rapidly. Now, if the United States was and still is the strongest economy, what's going to overtake it? And all readings and articles point to China. This shift in GDP and world power is something that you need to pay attention to. I think it's important because it will affect the way you invest for the future. Traditionally, I've invested in only U.S. stocks, and now I have several ETFs that I use that are worldwide and emerging market. I believe the new world order is changing, and they say China will be the leading economy and world power by 2040. As you all know, there's a terrible war in Ukraine. And what are they fighting for? The terrible cost for both sides, Russia and Ukraine. Why is Russia fighting for Ukraine? Well, they want to control a land route to their seaport, but there's also oil and food in Ukraine. So in addition to their seaport and the land bridge to the seaport, I believe that Russia is fighting for food and oil in Ukraine. And look at this. Ukraine is one of those green countries with a GDP that's growing at a very fast rate. And this is, again, data before the war. But perhaps that's a reason for Russia to invade. Ukraine is or will be, a country for the future. It definitely is an emerging economy that's strong. This past weekend, Joe Biden visited the Saudi Crown Prince, gave him a fist bump, and asked for oil. Why did he do that? Even though the United States produces and was energy independent, that all ended the first day Joe Biden took office. And now he's visiting Saudi Arabia to ask them for oil. Russia has a vast supply of oil, which they've sent to Europe. That's going to all dry up. So President Biden traveled to Saudi Arabia to secure oil for our European allies and for ourselves in order to maintain the existing world order, of which the United States is super. But China needs oil, and they've been trying to get some from Saudi Arabia and Iran, and they've been buying from Russia. So some believe that there'd be a new alliance with China and Russia concerning oil. But China needs one other thing. So does Russia too, and that's food. China buys food from the U.S., and they have been actively pursuing economic ties with Africa, which has been largely ignored by the United States. And if the United States does not watch itself, they'll be some initiatives, and there already has been, into South America. The United States, in order to preserve its superpower status, needs to get our neighbors, Canada and Mexico, along with South America, in order to have a semblance and offset the emerging power from the Russia-China alliance. Africa, by the way, Nigeria has some, this is Nigeria, Nigeria has a lot of oil as well. So China, in order to cement its superpower status, is trying to control the South China Sea and the shipping channels to Africa. Vladimir Putin is taking a trip next week to Iran and Turkey. Cement ties there. Why is he doing that? Turkey is a NATO member, and look at that bright green, 57%, emerging strong economy. And of course, we know that Iran is oil, trying to become a nuclear power as well. I believe Putin is trying to cement the New World Order alliance between Russia and China, along with these other Middle Eastern countries. Good move on his part. The Russia, China, and India alliance, along with Korea, is going to be a strong power to be reckoned with. And they're concentrating on Iran and Africa to cement economic ties. And I have Japan in the circle, but it's not really. That's allied strongly with the U.S. And you have the U.S. alliance. And we like to tend to do things on our own, but we really need to conclude Canada and South America and Europe and NATO. This is how I think things are going to shape up. China's main import from the U.S. is soybeans, airplanes, and Boeing, and that's going to about to slow down. Some minerals, copper, and cars. Food is a very important import, and it's an export from the United States to China. But food and energy from Nigeria, Turkey, Iran, and food from Argentina, Brazil, the United States, Canada. These areas are very important to shaping the New World Order. To reiterate, China's top 10 imports: minerals, including oil, electrical machinery, Caterpillar, various different ores, copper, vehicles, there's copper down here. The United States ships aircraft, soybeans, motor vehicles, and microchips. We're buying a lot of those too. And Russia's main imports are machinery, equipment, and transport, agricultural products. So with that in mind, what to invest in? Well, of course, you could invest in Boeing, airplanes, or machinery. But today I'm choosing two categories, and that is energy and food, particularly fertilizer. Russia's going to need it. China's going to need it. The world's going to need food. And it looks like the energy is going to be very expensive for the near future. All dependent on Ukraine, the resolution of that war. But I think that war is going to go for a while. Let's take a look at two stocks that I think are important and you can invest in right now in order to capitalize on the turbulence and the new world order is about to arise. So I could be a little more elegant than I just did. Future wars and alliances will be about oil and food. Having it and getting it and needing it. One would think the United States has an advantage there because we have a lot of resources and we have oil, enough oil to be independent. But the world is going to align with either one or the other facet. Currently, it's aligned with the United States and NATO, but that world order may be ending. Oil and food. So the first stock I'd like to talk about is oil. And the first one is XLE. It's an ETF. And I thought about ExxonMobil, Chevron, Occidental Petroleum. But the nice thing about this ETF, it's a basket full of stocks. It contains ExxonMobil, Chevron, Occidental Petroleum. Oxy is what Warren Buffett's buying, and he has now a 20% stake in it. This ETF is heavily traded. And since it's a basket full of stocks, it's not going to give any a lot of statistics like a stock would. I'll show you that in a minute, where it's undervalued and a good bargain and the PEs. And you can see that it's been running up. February is when the Ukraine invasion started, and that oil has taken, and energy has risen steadily, and then it dropped in the last month. But the war has not ended. There's some food shortages generated by the oil shortage. The war doesn't look like it's going to end. And there's a lot of manipulation with Biden going to Saudi Arabia, Putin going to Turkey and Iran. This looks like this market in energy is in some trouble. And I think the price and the profit margins are all going to go up for oil. We are not going to convert to green energy anytime soon. The last weekend was a long weekend. People couldn't charge they waited hours to charge up their electric vehicles. There are not enough electric vehicles and their prices are high. We're facing a very serious inflationary period and possibly a recession. And people are just not going to buy electric vehicles. So this energy issue is going to be here for a while. So I'm looking at a trade. And this is a broken winged butterfly. But all you have to know is this is a bullish type scenario. And that, we can see that by the green here. As long as this stock stays above $70, I'm going to break even. What is it? That's 710. As long as it stays above where it's at today, I'm going to win something. I'm going to get a credit in my pocket of $290. And this trade faces a max loss of 410. Now, the profit could be 490. How's that done? If the stock price ends up around $76, in other words, if it goes up from where it is now to about $76, $5, I can maximize that profit. Let's take a look at that. $76 right here. And that is where we're looking at the max profit. If it ends up there. If you'll also notice that if it ever gets there, anytime during the next few months, by the way, this trade is ending in about 100 days, ends in October 21st. And I can take profit anytime if it gets in this area, and I think that's where it's going. So the trick here is to take strikes. You sell two, and then you want to minimize your margin. This margin, my broker required me to have $700 margin to produce this trade. Max loss is 210. Max profit is 290, and the max loss is 410. I like these odds. I think oil's going up. What do you think? This trade takes $700. $70 is trading at about. If you had about $1,000 to invest, you could buy 12 or 14 shares at ExxonMobil, and 12 or 14 times a $5 increase. That's what we think is going to go up, $5. It'd be $60 or $70 versus this. There's more ways to win with options, but there's certain situations where buying or shorting the stock makes sense too. A quick in and out. There's a cost involved. You're actually using 4 options here. So we're talking about food and oil. We just talked about oil, an ETF, XLE, heavily traded, very popular. And now I want to talk about a stock that deals with fertilizer, both in North America and internationally. It's trading at 15% below the estimate, the fair value, and the earnings grew by 160% over the past year. That's tremendous. Earnings are not expected to grow that much. And I think the new world order and the war is going to change this number. The health of this company, MOS, Mosaic, is very strong. It's good past history, and it has some value. And based on this analysis, the future doesn't look as bright for the next couple of years. FMC is a competitor. It is on my watch list, and so is this one, SQM. Been dipping lately after a run up. This article describes the fact that energy and geopolitical issues are going to affect this price. I agree with the person. And the stock is significantly undervalued after the last price drop. I agree as well. So we want the price to stay above a certain level. And that level is 44. And if it gets to be around 48, that's when we're going to take our most profit. To do this trade, you get deposited in your bank account $157, but you have to put up around $400 in margin. Max loss on this is $243. This has a expiration of September 16th. There's the green zone. You can take a profit anywhere along there. And there's your most. If you think it's going to go about 6% to 50, that's your profit line. Then you might want to use a stop loss of around 4 or 5%. It's a relatively cheap stock, and this is a relatively cheap trade. So in conclusion, I think future world conflicts And the future world order is going to surround oil and food, of which fertilizer is an important part. We're looking at a trading view chart in the daily time frame on XLE, which is a basket full of stocks. The MACD says it looks like it's going up. The stochastic RSI looks like it's going up, and the RSI has just recently crossed over the 30 and pointing up. It looks like it's gonna go rise a little bit. The zigzag, this is a zigzag, it's a perfect indicator. It always predicts the tops and bottoms, but it does that by repainting itself and looking to the future. You can't use this to trade. Some people wait 2 bars after the zigzag doesn't know what it's doing to go long, and oftentimes I do that as well. And it's 2 bars. XLE going long. What do you think? Long or short? And if you say short, what wonderful thing's going to happen in the next few weeks and months to make that go up, down? We're going to be stuck with inflation and high gas prices for quite some time. That's my thought. If you disagree, I would appreciate a comment. It helps my channel, and a subscription. Trading view settings are in the description below. Mr. Zigzag here, tops and bottoms. And this has been going down the last few months, and it seems to level off. Mr. Zigzag doesn't know what it's doing. When he doesn't know what it's doing, that's what I like. The MACD says, go long, boy. Stochastic RSI crossed over about there. It says, go long. And the RSI came below the 30 and came back around. And that's a time when they all occur together. It's a time maybe to think about a long. Is it going up? Well, it certainly hasn't done that yet, has it? It looks like it's consolidating. I think it's going long. That's trading. Everybody has an opinion. These are just lines on the chart. Leave a comment below. Subscribe. The settings for my charts are in the description below. Hey, happy trading. Like what you're doing. New world order, oil, and food. Perhaps those are the areas we need to invest in. We'll catch you on the flip. Hey, before I let you go, I want to remind you that I have a free Discord chat giving some trends for my watch list, and also the MACD, stochastic, and RSI signals, if you're using those, using my settings. And these are updated every couple hours. And don't forget, if you like my charts, the trading view settings are out there. Subscribing helps me out, so don't hesitate. And for the price of coffee, I have an actual trading list using the 3 indicators. When the 3 indicators are all occur at the same time, this produces a trade longs and shorts with scaling, which is very important. If you're trending, you want to add to your winning trades, and this allows for that scale in. See, scale in there long on Coca-Cola, and it's investing about $1,000 each time, and it's always nice to know if you're making some profit. Price of the cup of coffee.